It's been a rough time. It's been a time, Felicia. A lot of emotions have been coursing through my body, like that of a human with feelings, I guess. I relate to them. And I was listening back to our older episodes, and I realized that there are a lot of times where in the beginning of the podcast, we talk about all the unhealthy things that we have done leading into the recording, which then tends to greatly shift the way that recording does. So I've created a mental health checklist, like a self-care list. And I just want to see how close we did it for today, because I don't know, feelies could get affected. And I think this will be a good way to check in with ourselves. I just want us to try to be healthier in 2022 for both our sakes, right? So the first one, did you get 7 or more hours of sleep last night?
I think I got like 8, but the night before I had 5. So
okay,
you know what I mean?
It's like fine. We're not doing averages. Even with an average, it would still be good. I did not get 7 or more hours because the sun woke me up. And now that I'm older, I stay up when I wake up. So did you eat properly enough leading into this recording so that you were not starving or will be starving within 15 minutes of recording?
Yes, I had half a tuna, half a Wawa tuna. You're gonna be happy, Elaine. I'm gonna be happy. This is up your alley. I had half a tuna hoagie for lunch and half a tuna hoagie for dinner.
Mermaid,
and it was Wawa. That's right. She's Pennsylvania.
Our gas station tuna salad.
I love it so much.
I'm so happy.
I also had like half a cup's worth of donut holes.
That's amazing. Is that like 2 donut holes?
No, it's like 8. You'd be surprised how many fit into like a little like cup like that big.
Oh, weird. Okay, so good on the food. I've had a lot of food today, so we're fine.
That's good. I'm happy for you.
Were you kind to yourself leading up to this recording?
I would hope so.
I guess.
Yeah. I made a little cup of tea.
Oh, beautiful. Good.
Yeah, all good stuff.
Well, it sounds like we're doing better. So let's just vibe into those cozy feels. Just like let's let ourselves feel some happiness and pure joy and discuss a movie that people might be like, whoa, why would they talk about it? But it all makes sense.
You'll see.
It all makes sense.
You'll see.
Have we ever let you down?
Probably.
Actually, I think about it all the time. It keeps me up at night. Like, am I letting? But we always have something in mind. It's the long game.
Believe us, we'll never not bring it back to Wonka. We're like physically incapable of it. Okay, this is unrelated. I'm jumping, but I was at work yesterday and a woman asked me and she said, "Can you help me find the newer Willy Wonka movie?" And I said, "How can you ask for that so casually? How can you ask for that so casually?" And not, I was like, what is it like to just casually be, hey, maybe I'll watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
And then probably watch it once while you're cooking something. You catch half of it and then you do something. You play a board game after.
Just getting it for her kids. Probably just getting it for her kids. But I just had this moment of realizing, wow, people don't think about this the way I do.
No. You know? And that's why I brought back the mental health care list. Because I think we really need to separate, you know, our
Wonka
passions
from our identity.
Yeah, like we deserve to have like there can be a separation possibly, but I also don't know. I haven't been to therapy in a bit. So this is all we got. You, me, and the mic. Paddington is the movie we're talking about.
We're talking about Paddington.
Paddington.
I am so happy that this is somehow within the scope of our podcast and I can talk about my favorite little bear. I love this bear so much. And like, I legitimately was like, last night I was like, maybe I'll just get a Paddington tattoo. And like, it wasn't even like a joke. Like I was like, I'm going to get this little bear on me because I love him so much. Okay. I would die for him. Once in a really bad, when I was very depressed, I was like crying and I was just looking up on Amazon, where can I get a Paddington stuffed animal? I need him in my life. And unfortunately, I could not find one that met my clear specifications for what the ideal Paddington stuffed animal should be.
Did they come back though? I mean, I would think that they would have,
they have plenty of them. I just don't like them.
Oh, that's fair.
They don't capture the little warmth in movie Paddington's eyes, which is the real value.
Oh, yeah. I guess we'll just have to go to Joanne Fabrics, take a sewing class, and make you the perfect Paddington.
Oh God, that'd be fucked up.
Our bonus video.
Hey guys, if you donate to buy me a coffee at wonka.com/WonkaWatch, maybe you can fund me making my own Paddington. It's gonna look like absolute shit, but it's the thought that counts.
We'll do it like off-brand Build-A-Bear, where I will get a piece of chocolate and we'll do a weird worship chant over it, sew it inside the body of your Paddington, and then days will pass. And when you weren't looking, I replaced the chocolate with a hard-boiled egg because I'm a little prankster. And then it's just your Paddington bear is gonna smell bad, but you love it too much and you have to decide. I'm sorry, I literally lost my shit just now.
Why would you do that to me and my son?
I think that I hopped on a snowball and just avalanched myself off a mountain just now.
You did. It was kind of scary.
Mental health.
Okay. Actually, yes. we need to move on from mental health and just talk about Wonka, unfortunately.
Wonka Watch. Wonka Watch. Oh my gosh, what's that across the lake? It's on a canoe. What's this? A pirate? What say ye, pirate? I brought Felicia. I kidnapped her to spread news to the world. Wow.
Elaine, look behind us. There's a kayak. And who's on the kayak? It's Hugha Loompa. Hugha Loompa's official, ladies and gents. Yes. He's official. Yeah. Because last time we talked about Hugha Loompa, he was a bit of a scapulation.
We weren't sure if he had his head or not.
It was a little bit up in the air. It was a little bit of a speculation. But guess what? We've confirmed it. Hugha Loompa is real. He's real to us, and he's real to the world. You
know what they also confirmed is that he's doing the entire movie with a Boston accent.
I know he's not.
But what are you doing over there? That's not Boston, but it's my best interpretation. Thank you.
I just want Hugh Grant to try and do a Boston accent.
God, that would be good.
I feel like it would be very Christopher Walken. I don't know where Christopher Walken's fun, but I feel like it would be very Christopher Walken.
I really want Hugha Loompa to have Christopher Walken and the live Peter Pan energy.
Oh my God.
That would be
no energy. There's no energy.
A little bit of memory.
Here's the thing. As someone who has not just seen Paddington 1, but Paddington 2, in which Hugh Grant features, he will not put in 0%. He's going to put more percent than you ever thought was possible. So, I mean, it's exciting. It's very exciting. But yes, Hugha Loompa is confirmed. It's been confirmed by multiple news outlets. We've got the Hugies on lock. The Hugie is on lock.
No, I think it should be the full name. I don't think he gets to just have a nickname. Thank you.
Thank you. Hugha Loompies.
We got that shit on lock. Hughy Loompy.
The fact that our Hugha Loompa phrasing has not caught on makes me so angry.
I'm not gonna lie.
It feels like the start of thing we've come up with on this podcast. That's the best thing we've done. Okay, but that wasn't all. That wasn't all we learned. So I went through the Wonka movie Instagram, which is, of course, the classic Instagram that just kind of stalks the production and posts photos. And thank you, Wonka movie Instagram. You are keeping me posted right now. So if we go back in our minds and imagine our second episode of Wonka Watch, where we discussed the leaked set photos, and we talked about a photo of Timothée Chalamet kind of smiling at a girl, and the girl looks scared. She looks a little trepidatious about the whole situation. That girl is played by Elaine, and she seems to be having quite the role in the movie because she continuously is being spotted on set day after day. And I'm kind of here for it. I think she's adorable. I think it's going to be awesome. But one such photo is let me go back to the episode tracker because I closed it because I'm a dummy. So I can put this in the dumping zone for you.
Honk, honk, you silly goose.
Thank you, Elaine. So I put this in the drop zone. So Timothée Chalamet and Elaine are just kind of sitting in the middle of a snowy fairground. It is a fairground, as I now know from later images, and they're just kind of emphatically pointing at each other as if in a musical number.
Or the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, or the you are also Wonka.
Timmy's got a good bend in the knees. Like, he's been doing lunges for this role to master this dance.
He's very...
This looks... I can feel, like, in this low pixel resolution photograph, I can see a lot of energy, which
I feel like it's going to be really fun. I'm excited about this scene. I think this is going to give us a You and I Aren't So Different After All-esque musical sequence, you know?
Barbie, Princess and the Pauper, I'm just like you, you're just like me.
Just like me. Sure, you know it. Yay! I only know those two lines, but all right, we got another image. Bam! Who is that? It's one Mr. Jim Carter. So Jim Carter has been in the cast for a while. We don't know what part he's playing, but he just looks really happy to be there. He's got his arms outstretched. He's got a big old smile on, and he's just got like a little suit, very 1940s
bowler hat.
He looks so happy.
Oh my gosh!
So like, I don't know what vibes are you getting from this?
Hug my grandpa. I mean, yeah, that's me. So I'm standing off to the side of Jim Percy and I'm pointing at you and I'm going, hug my grandpa. Because Jim Percy always got these big, happy.
You know what? I hate hugging strangers, but I'd make an exception for him. For him. He looks very comfortable and cuddly. I will say, I feel like if Slugworth was about to be redeemed, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
I would buy this for redeemed Slugworth because he's got the hat. That's what Slugworth
This
wears.
is going to be a quirky song because there's no way you have your overcoat, bowler hat, and a briefcase full of dreams on a street with street lamps and not have some epic little giddy song where you're like twirling on the like lamppost at some point. This screams to me, oh, it's a lovely day to go and get candy. I'm going to be your new dad. Hug me, Grandpa.
Hug me, Grandpa. I don't know why it looks like Hug My Grandpa is so fucking insane. Okay. So looking at the rest of the photos, I was able to gain a little bit of intel about some of the sets. So in one set photo, there were some signs in German, and there's also been trucks with like French writing on it. So Is Wonka going international? And I did write first French, now German. This boy is ski-daddling.
What if he is just at Busch Gardens?
This all takes place within Epcot.
Like, we joked about like, oh, he looks like Christmas at Busch Gardens. But what if they just were like, yeah, Busch Gardens.
I recently got a job working as a chocolatier at Busch Gardens, and now I get to travel the world on break from making my epic creations. I'm eating lasagna in Italy. Except I'm in Virginia. I'm seeing the Italian Busch Gardens show that Felicia's mom performed in back in the 1980s. 90s. I'm sorry, mother. 90s.
I see. I love that so much. This is exciting because I'm going to Busch Gardens for the first time in April.
Oh my God, overlook there's Felicia of the famed Wonka Watch podcast. She seems to have gone on no rides and just walked around and looked at the pretty lights. More on this at 11 from me, Willy Wonka, Busch Garden news extraordinaire.
I'm just in the background in a truck guzzling fuzzle cakes. Funnel cakes.
Guzzling fuzzle.
Okay, so I have I mean, we'll talk about this in predictions probably too, but like it sounds like if they're going to all these different countries, they're either running away or they're trying to gather different things for a special recipe that can only be found in that country.
There's definitely going to be some kind of MacGuffin. All right, so then there is like a fairground set that they set up, which features one of those like fishing for the duckies things.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it had the initials SR on the side. What does it mean? I don't know. It probably means nothing, but hey.
So Runts. So Runts. The
Sir
Lord
Runts.
of the Runts candy.
Sure.
The Runts.
This could be Slugworth's Radical Fairground Games. Maybe. But Radical Fairground Games is his last name.
That's a lot.
My name is Slugworth Radical Fibrosis. Okay. And then apparently someone said that they set up a carousel and a zoo. I don't know where the fuck Wonka is and like why he's there.
This boy must have a bigger budget because, again, we don't know how far 12 sovereigns will get you in this world, but if that's all he's got, and he's like flying all around these like fucking Europe on his little gap
I've got
year.
12 silver sovereigns and I'm going to spend them all on this duck fishing game. A hat full
Willy Wonka
of
has a
ducks
gambling problem.
and a hat full of little goldfish in tiny plastic bags.
Why is this you now?
Why do I have that?
All your decoy ducks.
Oh, yeah. I do have a lot of ducks.
In Animal Crossing, Felicia has a lot of decoy ducks to clarify.
I have a lot in real life.
Sentence.
I have a lot in real life too. Let me see. 1, 2. Maybe it's only 2, but it feels like a lot. It feels like a lot more. Trust me. I think maybe having 2 duck-shaped planters. It's just a lot.
Thank you to everyone who on TikTok tagged us in the TikToks of them filming in Oxford, and also for DMing us on Instagram about that. I don't know if you've seen this, yes. Felicia. Yes.
I have not. I am a little mystery.
Oh my. Well, basically it just shows like it's all these Oxford students being like, LOL, can't go to class because Wonka's in the way.
I've seen some videos where they go, oh my God, it's Timmy. Like really close to the camera.
I looked at it and I was like, there was one where I was like, I want to do a whole episode just talking about the walk of Willy Wonka, because Timothy has an interesting walk I've noticed with his cane. And I was like, what if we analyzed all of their walks? And then I was like, that's a bit much, but is it? Because at my college, there was a course you could take for a whole month about the art of walking.
The Wonkna.
Nah.
Yeah. Well, it was worth a shot.
That was a walk of shame. Give me a cigar. I'm so silly.
Okay,
well, also, cool. This is fun that we're getting a lot more media stuff now about Wonka.
No, it is. I'm very glad to have some images. I like cracking them open like a little mystery book. Oh, I spy with my little eye one Willy Wonka.
And you get a Wonka. And you get a Wonka. That's what I'm imagining in this photo of Timothy Chalamet kneeling down and pointing the finger at Kyle Elaine, just going, you aren't Wonka. I am Wonka. I'm not Wonka. And just like, I want a little cutout of him and being like, this way.
This is Wonka.
This is Wonka.
Hug my grandpa.
Hug my grandpa.
Okay, let's get to the topic of the episode. People listening, they may be like, why the fuck are you talking about Paddington? Well, because 1, I like it. And number 2, it actually has like a humongous crossover with the new Wonka movie. So I've written a list right here of all of the pieces of crossover media between Paddington 1 and Wonka. So here we go. The Paddington film was directed by Paul King, who is the director of the Wonka movie. In the film, there are a lot of crossover stars. Sally Hawkins plays Mary Brown, which is the mother of the Brown family who takes in Paddington. And she is in Wonka. We've decided she's Wonka mom. We don't know if that's true, but it might be. Matt Lucas, who is in Wonka, appears briefly for like a minute in this movie as a taxi driver, I believe, who takes Paddington somewhere. I don't know where. And then Simon Farnaby appears in the film. So Simon Farnaby is showing up in Wonka and is the co-writer of Wonka. Simon Farnaby is the co-writer of Paddington 2, but not of Paddington 1. Okay? All right?
I'm following. I'm here with you.
So in both Paddington 1 and 2, Simon Farnaby plays 2 different security guards. So if you don't know who he was, Elaine, he was the guy who developed a weird crush on Mr. Brown when dressed as the cleaning lady. That is Simon Farnaby.
Oh, no.
What an icon he is.
Oh, boy.
So that is the level of crossover in Paddington 1. Paddington 2 has a ton more because we got Hugh Grant. We got Simon Farnaby as a co-writer. And a bunch of other stuff. But it felt like this is like the closest testament of what we have to what Wonka might feel like. So it felt like we would not be doing our duty as diligent Wonka scholars not to talk about it. And also, I love that fucking bear. And I want to talk about it. So
two things Felicia loves in this world. Daniel Radcliffe, Paddington.
Paddington.
Number 3, ducks.
Ducks.
Number 4, log flumes.
Yeah, I am a simple woman and I like 4 things and 4 things only. So I guess, like, obviously I have a lot of feelings about Paddington. I've seen Paddington many times before. I think, like, we're up to like 3 or 4 times. It is the only film that I can count on to pull me out of a really bad day. Always works. I cry at least 4 times every time I watch it. It's great. And I actually didn't have time to watch it this weekend, but because I've seen it so many times, I know I'm going to be fine. But Elaine got to experience her first little viewing of Paddington. So how did that make you feel, Elaine? What are your first thoughts? And
yeah, I tried not to let the buildup get in the way. I was worried. I was like, I know this is Felicia's favorite movie. I don't want to like come in here with super high expectations. I didn't really know too much about the plot line aside from what you had told me, which was a cute little bear trying to find his place in the world. And I have to say that at the end of it, that was one of the more wholesome movies I've ever seen in my life. And I loved it. And I cried like a little bitch the entire time because I watched it when I was very emotionally raw.
Yep. That's the best time to watch Paddington. He smooths over your emotional wounds with his little bit of orange marmalade.
And it's, oh my God, first off, I love marmalade. And when I realized that this bear was all about marmalade, I went and got my jar of marmalade and started eating it like a monster.
He'd be so happy.
I know. I was so like, happy. Oh my God, I'm Paddington. And I actually, Felicia,
he's just like me for real.
Felicia has a weird thing where she loves seeing pictures of me crying. So she had asked me.
Don't. Okay.
Oh, come on. You wanted to frame that picture of me crying in your bathroom.
Okay, because it's funny. That's objectively funny.
Okay, those kind of tears. She doesn't like true sorrow from me. No one understands what to do with that. No, we're talking about the fun, silly tears. And the problem also, so I'm emotional. It's late at night. And my dog is curled up next to me and she's looking really fucking cute. And that was overwhelming. And so Felicia had asked me to try to take like photos and videos. And I have videos of me throughout this reacting to it that I will happily drop for you at any point.
What I wanted to do is just to kind of make a little supercut of Elaine crying while watching Paddington for the podcast. Just like a quick little highlights reel. So that's going to be coming into your ears, listeners, right now.
I swear to God, if this aunt and uncle die in this earthquake, I swear to fucking God, I will freaking rip out my balls. My eyeballs. No! I'm not even like 10 minutes in. What the fuck? I can't do this. No! I just wanted marmalade. I love marmalade. Oh, no.
In the home for retired bears.
No!
But it is not yet time.
The home for retired bears probably doesn't exist. She's just gonna walk out to a tree and die under it. She's leaving him alone. This little bear is all alone. He has a coat and it's cute and he's just a happy bear.
Yes. That is now my name.
Even though he's sad. Also, he's writing this note. There's no way he knows how to write. I'm not well. My dog is still being really cute. And I'm like, what if you were lost in London and no one gave you a home? But like, she was lost and I feel raw. I feel raw and whole. I feel both sad and happier than I've ever felt in my life. I didn't expect that.
That movie, literally, I will just be like crying watching him, and I'm like, he's so happy. He's just a little bear with his place in the world. Let's talk about it. So basically, deep in the dungeon. Deep in that dungeon, little Paddington scrabbles around and eats the oranges he finds on the floor. In the deep jungles of darkest Peru, a British geographer discovers a particularly unknown species of bear. He learns that the bears are highly intelligent and they really like marmalade. He names them Lucy and Pastuzo and gives them his hat as he leaves, telling the bears that they're always welcome if they wish to go to London. So this is like the crux of the movie. This is what everything starts with. You got Lucy and Pastuzo, voiced by Umbridge and Dumbledore.
Dumbledore. When he got that dumpy.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I call my ass. Okay. 40 years later, the two bears are living in harmony when their orphan nephew is Paddington, until an earthquake destroys their home, forcing them to seek shelter underground. Pastuzo fails to reach the shelter in time and is killed by a falling tree. Rest in peace. And then Lucy says, "Baby Paddington, why don't you go to London while I move to the home for retired bears?" Which isn't like a metaphor for death. They're literally just as a home for retired bears. Like it's not like
I definitely was like, yeah, no, I was like, that bear is going to grow. What? No, that bear is going to wander off into the darkness and never be seen again.
No,
she's no home for
right.
Retired bears.
She's all safe. So Paddington is like, how does he even get there? Does he sneak onto a little cargo ship?
Yeah, so basically, yeah. He's in a little rowboat on the cargo ship, covered with a little tarp, and he just has this whole little picnic basket of marmalade jars. And the hat is so important too, because his uncle, the geographer, gave the Uncle Bear the hat, which then, after Uncle Bear dies, Paddington gets the hat, and he's just this little bear in a red hat that the geographer gave him. And it's just like, it's like memory of home.
Yeah.
As he's like going on a boat, and he's like, "I'm bringing you everywhere I go, and I'm fulfilling your dreams."
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So Paddington goes to he goes to Paddington Station, which is a stop on the London Underground. And then he runs into the Brown family, who end up taking him home and naming him after the station they found him. Now, there's a lot that happens in this scene. It's like my favorite scene in the movie. There's a Paddington is sitting on top of his little suitcase next to the lost and found. And the found is all dark, and then the Brown family finds him and it lights back up, and it makes me want to cry. And then there's a very funny, silly sequence where they're in a little restaurant and Paddington doesn't know how to squeeze ketchup out of a tube, and it makes me so happy.
Oh my god. Yeah, that whole scene made me so happy. And that was the first inclination I got to. Like, I love the way that this movie was filmed, and the way they do flashbacks, I thought was very creative. So yeah, the scenes where it was like the lost and found, and the you want to name him Ketchup.
Yeah.
So he has a bear name, and then they need to come up with a human name because no one can speak bear. And so the mom goes over and she looks up and she sees the Paddington Station sign. She goes, "That's it." But Paddington's also holding a ketchup bottle. And so the dad goes, "Ketchup, you want to call him Ketchup? Ketchup the bear?" And she's like, "No." I was like, can you imagine this movie though if he was Ketchup the bear? Totally different vibe.
"Hey everybody, I'm Ketchup." What the fuck is up, London?
He's just Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Prozac. So yeah, I don't know. The parents in this movie are genuinely so funny, and they make me laugh so hard.
Yes.
So Henry Brown, the father, is a devoted risk analyst, and he's like, "Paddington, I don't believe you. You can only stay one night, and also having a bear in the household greatly induces risk, and I'm not messing with that." But then his wife Mary is like, "No, but like, have you seen him? He's so cute." And their kids, Jonathan and Judy, are like, "Yeah, he's adorable. Why would you kick him out?" As does Mrs. Bird, the housekeeper. And Mrs. Bird is an icon and a legend in every sense of the word. So Paddington is like, okay, he at this point thinks he can still only stay there for the night.
And we kind of missed a whole big thing with the geographers. Like he had said, you can always be welcome. And so the aunt really iterated this, and it was based off of World War II when they would send kids away, and they had a little label around their neck saying like, "This is me, please send me off to your country home." And so he had that. He's like, "Someone please take care of this bear." And so his whole thing was like, "I'm going to easily find a home." And he didn't, because no one liked a polite little bear. And so now he's got the Browns. Exactly. This is why the dad's like, "Why the fuck would we have a bear in the house? This is insane. One night only."
There's one incredible scene. I don't know when this takes place in the movie, but it's one that always sticks with me, where Paddington sees a sign that instructing him on how to go down an escalator, and it's telling you, okay, if you have a dog, you need to carry the dog. And Paddington reads this and says, "Oh my god, I don't have a dog. I can't go down the escalator." So he finds a little chihuahua and just holds it to go down the escalator because he thinks he has to. And I I love it so much. What's another character? There's another character in this. There's Peter Capaldi. Mr. Curry, played by Peter Capaldi, fucking hates Paddington. He's like, I hate this bitch. Get the fuck off my street. I don't like bears. Get the fuck out. I do also like in this movie, like, no one is bothered by the fact that the bear is talking. Like, that's not the problem. That is never the problem. Like, he is
a bear in existence. Like,
yeah,
in terms of like, we accept that a bear is casually around London.
Mr. Brown is more aghast that his wife would name him Ketchup than the fact that there was a talking bear. Like, I guess that's kind of the...
Yes.
Paddington, basically, to try and find a home, he wants to go and find the explorer who met Lucy and Pastuzo, but he does not know his name. So he finds no mention of his expedition on the internet. Paddington does a little Google and they can't find anything. Mary Brown takes Paddington to Samuel Grubber, who is an antique shop owner.
Grubber?
An antique shop owner.
Grubber. Could he be a distant cousin to the fickle Grubbers?
Ooh! And you know what? I almost put in the links that Samuel Grubber is played by the guy who played Slughorn in Harry Potter. And I know that's not related to Wonka, but I just messed up Slugworth's name so many times that I felt like it basically was.
It's like kind of part of our canon now.
Yeah, it's kind of part of the canon. So this German antique shop owner tells Paddington that the hat bears the stamp of the Geographers Guild, but the guild has no record of an expedition to Peru. Crazy.
What? But we have the whole beginning. Oh, and the way that they like tell us about this geographer is like through an old-fashioned film. Like you're watching like the square television thing. So it's like, he was there, guys, and that was the footage. Where the fuck did it go? Nancy Drew, get on the case, bitch.
There's definitely an element of like this movie. I guess the best way to describe it is like, if something is mentioned in Paddington, like a character's like, I'm learning this weird skill, that shit's coming back. It's coming back.
Yes.
It all comes full circle. So like in the beginning, you talk about Mrs. Brown. She's a children's book illustrator and she's trying to find the face of her hero for her comic. And then you have her husband, who's a risk analyst, who's like super concerned about everything. But back in the day, he used to be like super cool and like used to drive a motorcycle and all this crazy shit. But then during the final sequence of like action, he shows this great moment of bravery and she recognizes that her husband was the hero that she wanted to cast all along. And you're like, oh my God. It's like, it's just so fucking wholesome. Like, it's so, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And when they're at Grubber's place, it's a vintage shop and he has a train track around the whole shop, which you knew a restaurant was about to slap when you walked in and they had a train going around the
I will say,
top
though,
of the
I feel
restaurant.
like Wegmans, the standardization of the train in a Wegmans has really decreased the value of a sailing train for me personally. Going back to our train museum roots, I will never be satisfied unless I'm at the McCormick Stillman Train Museum.
Yes, true.
In Scottsdale, Arizona.
Gosh, we had sensors where you could press a button and you'd set off the trains, or you'd set off the Ferris
train would
wheels
come
or the
by
UFOs.
and like the characters from Disney Pixar's Coco would be on them, and you'd be like, "Why are they there?"
Goodness.
And there's like a little secret.
So this guy has a
cave.
train.
Yeah. Okay. So he has a train.
Minion Cave is so horrifying. But anyway, so one of the cool ways they do a flashback is like you're watching this train. Like it comes first off, it comes through while they're sitting and like delivers them to you, which I loved. That was amazing. But then you look in the train and you're watching almost like on the table little figures, but it's, humans, green screen and all whatever the magic they do. But you're watching his story and they do that all the time. Like when they're describing the Brown family, they have a dollhouse and they open up the dollhouse and you see the entire house with each room and they go through it that way to show who everyone is and what they're doing. And then you go back and they close the dollhouse. Like, it's just really cool the way that they were imaginative with their cinematography.
A good sign for Wonka. Because, like, they're not going to be afraid of some whimsy.
That's exactly
and some, like,
the
some
shit
weird,
we want for
fun
Wonka.
shit, Then Paddington's like, I want to go to the Explorers Guild and find this person and figure out, like, they knew my aunt and uncle and I want to meet them. And Henry, Mr. Brown, who's like, I need you to leave the house, is like, I'll come help you to, do all this. There's also one of the reasons that Paddington Yeah, Paddington does kind of keep causing problems. Like, yeah, you can. I mean, do you want to talk about his problem causing behavior?
Yeah, he seems to have an issue with getting his snoot stuck in things and then proceeding to get more stuck in things, and things break. It's great when he first arrives at the home. He goes up to the bathroom to freshen up, and he has no idea what that means. And he sees 2 toothbrushes, and he goes, ear cleaners. And so he starts doing that, but then he goes to try to eat his earwax, which I knew he was going to do because that's what my dog does, except she likes it. He doesn't. And then like he drinks all the mouthwash, and then he has to stick his head in the toilet because it's too like spicy, and then he breaks the toilet, and then everything's flooding. It just escalates in ways it shouldn't, and it always happens, and it's so cute.
It gets to the degree where he has flooded the entire bathroom, and the bathtub does roll down the staircase.
Yes.
And then Henry's like, I need you to leave, which is like, honestly, like, I love Paddington. I do understand the frustration in that moment, but you can't let that little, do you see him? How could you deny him? He's so cute. So then Henry infiltrates the guild with Paddington. One of the things about this infiltration, which is, I do want to talk about Simon Farnaby's guard character, because what a figure he is. Basically, to sneak in, Henry disguises himself as a cleaning lady, to whom Simon Farnaby, the guard, is like, I'm in love with this woman. What are your thoughts, feelings?
It's like very much, he does not look that different than
he looks very much the same.
They somehow got some blush, and it's just like he accidentally stayed out in the sun for too long. And the age discrepancy, I feel like, was also very much a big issue. The winking I didn't like. I was like, oh no, ew, no way, no. But I did like
the movie.
I liked when
that scene gave the movie a PG rating for sexual tension. But yeah, what were you going to say about the sandwich?
Oh, I was just going to say, so the guild itself, the way they set it up is really cool. Again, we have cool mechanics, which is what I want to see in Wonka. Yeah, so they have all these different tubes. The way that, like, if you go drop off a prescription sometimes at a pharmacy, they have a little tube thing that shoots up. Or, you go to a bank ATM thing on the outside, whatever. And so they have this for all the information. You're watching all these tubes go. And naturally, Paddington fucks it up. But a sandwich shoots out at one point and hits Simon Farnaby in the back of the head, and he gets knocked out, which I really enjoyed.
How hard is that fucking sandwich?
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ, that marmalade is glue. God.
So he discovers, with the help of Henry, he discovers that an expedition to Peru was undertaken by the explorer, whose name was Montgomery Clyde. But the guild erased the record of the expedition. And then I like this transition that Wikipedia put in. Meanwhile, the hateful museum taxidermist Millicent Clyde kills and stuffs exotic animals to house in the Natural History Museum.
Knew that she was the daughter after like the first few minutes. I was like, oh, you have to have been burned or something.
So Millicent Clyde is the daughter of Montgomery Clyde, obviously, played by Nicole Kidman again for this movie. And it's great. She does a fantastic job.
Yes.
Apparently, her agent almost like passed for her, and she was like, bitch, you think I would pass on Paddington? I fucking love Paddington. Because I mean, Paddington is a famous children's book series in the UK, so he's not just out of nowhere. Like he was kind of already like a cultural icon in the UK. But yeah, so she learns of Paddington's existence, and she's like, I'm gonna get this bitch. The Brown family departs for the day, leaving Paddington at home. I will say, the parts of this movie that always make me cry are those little letters Paddington writes in his attic.
Yes. Dear Aunt Lucy.
London
is not welcoming as we thought it would be. I'm like, oh my God. Like, there's no.
He's like, but I've met the loveliest family, the Browns. And I'm like,
Oh my God. Oh God. A part that really made me bawl. So, like, after they leave the guild, they got a little film reel and they play it, and it shows his home, and he walks up to it with wide eyes. Then he, like, enters the film like it's a memory fade, and he's just seeing his home in color before the earthquake, and then his aunt and uncle are waving to him with the hat. And I was like, that's me when I look at photos. My notes, this is what my notes are. Like, at first I had the bullet point for the lost and found, and then it just goes, I would take this bear in a heartbeat. I am nonstop crying. I am this bear. I'm still crying. I cannot stop crying. I feel so hard. Anyway, so it's cool. Oh, and I thought Nicole Kidman's character, Millicent, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Millicent. Her evil, like, she's a taxidermist and she captures live animals on purpose to then actively kill them.
Yeah,
to then
she's
get
like
them
actually
submitted.
scary.
I was like, that's
movie.
really like Cruella DeVille
It's
can fucking go
wild.
sit in the corner because this bitch is off her rocker right now with this shit.
It's wild because she's also like actively like. It's wild that this movie is so lighthearted when there's the threat of death for Paddington.
Yes. Yes.
But it succeeds. It succeeds. So the Brown family departs for the day, leaving him a room, scheming with Mr. Brown's nosy neighbor. So she teams up with Mr. Curry because he's like, I hate that fucking bear.
And he finds her hot as hell. He's like, oh shit. Like, I'm pretty sure a Rod Stewart song comes on when he first sees her.
Whoa. You know? So Paddington tries to tell... So Millicent sneaks in and attempts to capture Paddington. And then he manages to defend himself, but inadvertently starts a fire in a process.
Because he's a little bear. And it was
He's a
Scotch
little
tape.
bear.
Scotch tape is how it started. And it ended with fire.
Yeah, he
but the
was
lady
wrapped
was
up in
trying to
a-
get him. So, like, you know.
So I mean, like, she was like
Milena
dropping
Hammer.
through the ceiling, Mission Impossible style, and he's
Mhm.
wrapping himself up in Scotch tape. It's great.
Which, like,
there's
there's
also-
also taxidermist. Where did that budget come from?
I don't know.
I don't. You know what? I don't know.
She works for the National Museum, though, so she's probably pretty rich.
fair.
This happens early in the movie, but it wasn't mentioned here. The sequence where Paddington is like, "Hello, sir, you lost your wallet," and then it turns out the guy stole the wallet, and then Paddington accidentally captures him for the law. What a fun sequence!
Because he was like, "No, let me give it to you," and he like gets stuck behind a bus with the leash of the dog he had tried to carry on the escalator earlier, and somehow a police hat ends up on him, and he goes past a police car, and they're like, "Officer in distress, we got to go help." And then like he goes past the school, and everyone's like, "What's happening?" He's like flying at one point.
Yeah,
It's like, it's fucking insane. But yeah, and then he gets to be famous because they're like, a little bear saved everybody's money, and he didn't even know. And he's like, oh, thank you. Why is everybody?
yeah. So then Paddington tries to tell the Browns of Millicent's kidnap attempt, but they don't believe him because of all like the insane shit that's happened with him. Which is sad and depressing to watch. But Paddington, I think he's in the rain. He leaves the house and attempts to track down every Montgomery Clyde himself using the phone book to find the addresses of every M. Clyde in London. But he finds Millicent's house and learns that Montgomery Clyde died a long time ago. And Millicent resents her father for losing his guild membership after he refused to bring a specimen home and subsequently opened a petting zoo to keep animals safe, which
And
is
the
very
specimen
sweet.
was the uncle and aunt.
Yes,
bears.
uncle and aunt. So then she tranquilizes Paddington and brings him to the museum to prepare to stuff him. But Mr. Curry discovers her true intentions. He warns the Brown family and they go to save Paddington. So this begins the massive action sequence at the end of the film where they're all going on this big fight and like chase sequence through the National Museum of History. And it's like so fun. It's so fun.
Because the kid's like this weird tech genius, and so he's like hacking into all the stuff. Mrs. Bird is getting the security guard drunk and distracting him from the security cameras. And I'm like, what have you done in your life, Mrs. Bird? What were you doing?
Mrs. Bird has stories, I'm sure.
She's done shit.
Mm-hmm.
How did they find her? That was too easy for her.
It was way too easy. And then they basically, a bunch of stuff that was like little bits and moments mentioned earlier in the film come back to all be relevant in this final sequence. And it's amazing. It's so good. And basically they go and get Paddington and they rescue him. But then Paddington, he's up on the roof and oh no, she might shoot him off. And then Mrs. Bird, like the icon she is, just opens a trapdoor and punts the bitch off the roof.
She's like, I'm here. because she's wasted also. She was going drink for drink with a security guard, outdrank him, and then was able to hobble through the museum to climb up to the roof, not fall over, and still be somewhat functional, but she is drunk off her ass when
she comes out and she's like, did you guys save him? And then Patty's like, oh, Mrs. Bird, you've absolutely saved me, as he's like sitting on a little like chimney. I don't remember. And then the Browns are like, Paddington, we love you so much. You are the best person we've ever met in our entire lives, and you are the sweetest little gentleman. We will allow you to stay in our home permanently because you bring so much joy to our lives. That's the whole thing of Paddington. And then Millicent is arrested and sentenced to community service at her dad's petting zoo. And she just shovels a bunch of elephant poop.
A whole truckload of elephant poop gets thrown on her.
Just what she deserves. And then Paddington writes a letter to Aunt Lucy saying that he's very happy and he's finally found a home.
And then you finally get a scene of the letters actually getting delivered to Aunt Lucy at the retirement home for bears. And she's in a rocking chair just reading it, and she looks so at peace. And I'm like, did you finally make friends? Are you in a book club? Have you been able to move on past the trauma of literally losing your entire family because you sent him away? Is that same? And I'm like, what are you doing? And how did you get the postage there? I really don't know how they sent that letter. It really bugs me, but I don't care. And I'm like, will they ever see each other again? Is this the end? Does they all go on a trip to darkest Peru and Paddington too? Is it like that? Felicia, do we ever see him again? Or is that the last of it? He just gets to say goodbye to my entire bear life.
I don't want to confirm or deny anything. I will say they don't go to Peru, but that doesn't mean he doesn't see people. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, I don't really care.
God, I just remember, like, I know Paddington 2 is good, and I just thought about it again, and I wanted to start crying about how wholesome the plot is. Like, I know, I'm glad you enjoyed Paddington, but Paddington 2 is this movie, but 10 times better in every capacity.
I'm not ready for that. What?
It's so fucking
tell me that. I feel like
Paddington 2 is...
No, you fucking lied to me. What do you mean it's going to be even better? I can't emotionally handle that.
You're the superior film of the two.
Are you shitting me right now?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
This was the worst one.
Are you shitting me right now?
I know.
Are you squatting in the corner and shitting me right now? What the fuck?
I'm not fucking shitting you.
I'm not ready.
The plot of the second movie is legitimately, I'm not even joking, the best written plot of any film I've ever watched. And I'm not joking.
The way that this movie ends is he's with the family and the oranges are ripe and they're all making marmalade. The recipe that he got from Lucy, because Lucy made the marmalade and they're all eating it.
The value he brings and the chaos that he brings. And he basically teaches the family to loosen up and get more comfortable with themselves and be themselves more. It's so fucking good. I love it so much.
Oh my god! And he just always has a backup sandwich in his hat for emergencies, and he finally used it for an emergency.
And I'm like, me too. I'm always hungry.
I love it so much. When he was at the royal palace with the guard, and the guard took off his hat and started giving him an English tea. It was so cute because it was raining and he had been kicked out and he was like, I gotta go find the Clydes on my own. But he was like sleeping on a bench in the rain and his little duffel coat. And then he was so sad and nobody I put down a bullet point. I want marmalade and a good cry at the end of this movie was my final bullet point.
That's what it should be. Here's some fun little pieces of trivia about Paddington. God, it's so fucking good. Due to its fine performance at the worldwide box office, it managed to be the highest ever grossing non-Hollywood family movie that's not fully animated, and the highest grossing release from this production company. It spent 12 weeks in the top 10 at the British box office and eventually became the highest grossing British movie in the UK box office amongst releases from 2014. Like, this movie is acclaimed. Like, this movie is very good. I argue it's not enough acclaimed. I honestly, personally think Paddington 2 should have won Best Picture. I don't know what actually won Best Picture that year. Let me see what actually won Best Picture. Oh, actually, no. It was Moonlight. Okay, Moonlight can take it.
Oh, okay.
Moonlight is allowed to take Best Picture, but
That's
only
fine.
if Paddington 2 was the runner-up. It's clearly Moonlight, but Paddington 2 should have been considered.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just looked up. I know nothing about Paddington 2. I just Googled it to see if I could find this. And it's only a still image of him in jail.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's so good. And you know who's fucking in Paddington 2? Dilf Bucket. Dilf Bucket is in Paddington 2.
Oh my God. No wonder you think it's superior.
No, because I was rewatching it and I was like, is that fucking Dilf Bucket? Like, I wasn't expecting it, but he's just there. For people who didn't listen to the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory episodes, that is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie's dad from the 2005 version, who I may or may not have had some feelings about.
You can find that on page 12 in the Wonka Encyclopedia.
Yeah. If you flip to the glossary, here's an interesting thing. So I found this fascinating. This isn't really like relevant for Wonka, but I think it's really interesting. So a lot of the voice acting hadn't really been decided until like really close to the movie's release. So like Uncle Pastuzo and Aunt Lucy, they didn't get their voice actors until 6 weeks before the movie's premiere, which is fucking insane.
Yikes.
Right?
Ooh.
Yeah. And here's the thing, it gets even worse. So Ben Winshaw, who voices Paddington, was not the original voice of Paddington. And he only signed on to the project 11 weeks, I think, before the movie premiered. And they had to reanimate everything to his facial expressions. Because you're not going to believe who the original cast was. It was Colin Firth.
What?
And Paul King was like, you know what? I think having Paddington sound like an adult man is really fucking weird. And that's why.
Yeah.
That's why we have Ben Winshaw, who is an adult man, but just has a more
softer voice. He's able to be very kind
softer
and like,
voice.
Curious.
It's like this sounds like a little bear. You know what I mean? But that is also just Ben Winshaw's voice. Like that's not he's not putting on anything. He just talks like that.
Hi, my name is Ben, and I sound like a little bear, and that's why I think I'm perfect for this role.
Hello, I was wondering if you could maybe cast me as Paddington. Why?
Why do I want to cry at that?
Have you ever heard me talk?
Why
is
am
my
I crying
Paddington impression good?
Stop it! He's just like he's so. There's a video I took.
Aunt Lucy. Aunt Lucy.
No, don't you fucking dare. I had to pause to
my Marmalade.
Eat cake and cry before I continue. When I tell you I looked at my dog and then I was like, sometimes I'll look at my dog and just start crying anyway because I'm an emotional bitch and I've had that with my dog. Cat. And then you just get like existential on it all. And I was having that moment. And then I was like, we're watching this movie together. And like, I've had you for my whole life. And like, you were like Paddington. You were on the street and no one wanted to take you in. And then I took you in. And then you shot everywhere. But I kept you and it was worth it. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. God, what a lovely little bear. So I guess we're going to move into our next segment, which is talking about what does this mean for Wonka? Because, yeah, Paddington's a great film, but like, what can we learn from this? And this is just kind of an extended in-depth analysis prediction section. So my first, what does it mean for Wonka, is that we can expect just an absurd amount of niche British cameos, because that is what Paddington is. A lot of British people describe that movie as watching this and going, oh my God, it's that guy, at like every 5 minutes, you know? Especially Paddington 2. Paddington 2 has even more because, as you know, Paddington does go to jail. So there's a lot of fun little inmates, a lot of inmates that you're like, oh my God, it's that guy. Oh my God, it's that guy. One of the guys... Oh God, what's his name? I don't remember his name. I'm gonna lose my mind. What's the guy? Tom something.
All 8.
He's in
Tom
Wonka.
Holland.
No, he's in Wonka.
Timothy Chalamet.
No. Another one.
Tom Holland.
No. It's not Tom Allen.
Chalamet.
It's the other comedian that's not Tom Allen and is also named Tom. British comedian named Tom. Named Tom. Who is the other one?
Tom Krinklesberger.
Not Tom Allen.
Crumpets.
Why am I not looking up Wonka cast? Oh, there's a photo of it. Tell me what that fucker's name is. Tom Davis. Who is in Wonka. There's been photos of him on set. He is one of the inmates in Paddington too. Anyway, not the point. I need to move on. There's just a lot of British cameos.
Yeah. British cameos.
Yeah.
Why didn't we do this whole episode in some weird Cockney accent?
But like Richard Ayoade is in the second movie, and
I didn't know
obsessed with Richard Ayoade. I got very excited about that. I don't know. There's just going to be British cameos. That's something
I'm so excited
we can expect.
I might immediately watch that.
I will say, okay, another thing about tone. We can expect for Wonka to be a little sad at the beginning, but as a whole, lighthearted as fuck. If it's going to make you cry, it's going to make you cry because you're happy for Wonka and his little chocolate factory. I don't think it's going to be like a bummer in any capacity. It's going to be like, God, this is so fucking wholesome, you know?
They've hacked the emotional plot equation to follow to keep people engaged, but like, immediately emotional connection to then like burst through with happiness, even with the twists and turns. This is going to be so good. And Paddington, I don't know if we really talked about this. It really did straddle a good line. Like I'm an adult and I highly enjoyed this movie, but you could be a kid, obviously, and highly like it's a kid's movie essentially if you think about it. But like everyone loves it, you know. And so I feel like Wonka will have that same vibe of it's a kid's movie, but it's not like just
you don't feel weird watching it as an adult, you know.
Yes, I think Wonka's definitely going to just run into a lot of weird characters because that's kind of Paddington's thing is how he interacts with the people around him. And I think Wonka's just going to meet a lot of characters on his run. And that there's definitely going to be a MacGuffin of some kind because both Paddington 1 and Paddington 2 function under the MacGuffin principle of like, what are we trying to get? We're getting the MacGuffin, you know? And I think that Wonka's going to have the same thing because it's a really good way to structure a family movie and they know how to write a MacGuffin plot well. And honestly, I want them to write a MacGuffin plot. It's all I want. I just want them to be like, we're trying to get the thing because it's better, you know? I'm excited I think they're going to have really good transitions. Paddington had really good scene transitions, like the effects and the things they would do, the way that they would structure those, the bridging between the scenes and stuff was really clever. And I feel like, and also Felicia, you're going to love this. So I feel like that. And then with the whimsy of how they did the flashbacks, like I said, things were interactive, the dollhouse. I am very curious to see what is in Wonka's present cane. If you flip it open, are we going to see memories? What's in Wonka's cane? And it, you know,
Elaine, with how inventive they are with their little sequences, do you think maybe, and I'm just going to throw this out here, and it's like nothing I've ever said before on the podcast ever, maybe we could get a little puppet Wonka action.
Felicia, if we're watching it and they do a flashback or they're telling a story or they accidentally do drugs and turn into puppets, I will have to stand up and go in the aisle of the premiere, do a few deep breaths, and then I will come back into the movie. But I will stand. I don't care if I'm in the middle of the row
like,
and I'm
never going to hear the end of this.
I like because it'll be like the next year. Every episode will be like, "Hey, welcome to Wonka Watch. We had a puppet." And I'll just be reminded of it every day.
You're going to be like, excuse me, Timothy Chalamet. Excuse me, Mr. Bean. Excuse me, Color Lane. Could you please get up? I need to take some deep breaths because a puppet
What if James Acaster makes a little appearance in Wonka? Could we manifest that?
I am kind of manifesting it. It really could happen.
What? If we get, because we'll have done it, obviously. If we get James Acaster in there. It was all us. If we do that,
I actually kind of think it'll happen. So my actual official prediction, not just my analysis, is that there will be at least 5 random British person cameos. Okay,
I like that.
Just like famous British person cameos. I don't know who they're going to be, but there's going to be 5 of them at least because Paddington has like 20. So we will be all good. But yeah, they do have a history of putting in a lot of British comedians. So I feel like getting a James Acaster little like, I'm in a candy shop is pretty
decently good. Like higher than it was.
Yeah, it's a pretty high chance. Statistically, the fact that it's the Paddington people making it makes me be like, okay, you know what? Maybe I will get my James Acaster Wonka fill, you know?
I love that. I think my official prediction is going to be there will be a moment where Willy Wonka is describing, like, I think we're going to have, I don't know what the word is for this, but there will be a reoccurring scene structure when he goes in his head to come up with a candy and we see it before. Like, you know that meme where people see the math equations in front of their face or something?
I would love that
We're
so
going to have
much.
something like that, but it'll be like watching the candy stuff flow and like he can see it, but others can't. Yeah.
Very much when Remy gives Emile the strawberry and the cheese in Ratatouille.
Yes.
And he's like, see the flavor and the little sparkles. Anyway,
Yes.
I actually
Yeah,
had
I want
another
that.
prediction that I put a surprising amount of effort into, because normally, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I just shit these out. I really don't try.
Yes.
And they're informed by my advanced Wonka knowledge, but also they are not very thought out. But this one, I actually put a little thought into. So,
Oh, shit.
I will say, I think I figured out why I don't think Wonka's going to have any romance is because Paddington is completely devoid of any of that stuff. It's just all about found family, the people you love in the home. So I'm thinking that this is going to take a more found family approach. So seeing how much Elaine's character is featured in filming, I think she's going to be a found family, sister character for Wonka. And Wonka's going to be it's just me and my 11-year-old best friend.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of those classic things where she keeps following around and bugging him. And he's like, please leave me the fuck alone. I've got candy to make, little kid. And then eventually she proves herself as having all these unique skills and talents. And then they join up together. And that's when we get the, you're just like you, I'm just like me. Hold on. That's not how that works. You're just like me. I'm just like you sequence in the middle of a fairground.
I think it's interesting because we are that suggests that he's going to be a little more hardened, and I'm wondering if he'll be very will he have more of how much of an edge will this Wonka have? And having an edge, not bad, because obviously Paddington has no edge.
Does he have trust issues? Maybe. Does he have trust issues?
Or is Wonka just going to be this really happy man dealing with sad things? You know what I mean? There's a difference when you do have the reaction. So I don't know. I feel like they might really just be besties. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to consider now, the way that they dealt with a main character in a previous movie, and how much. Obviously, Dark Wonka was that train left so long ago. But I wonder if he's going to be just this really peppy, trying to be happy, and the world keeps trying to beat him down. But he's just of course, I'll always help the person in need of help.
That would be great.
But with more grace than
it'll probably be very adorable.
My prediction is that Felicia's going to cry at the movie. At Wonka.
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah.
I'll probably cry if he writes a letter to somebody in his family about how happy he is.
I'll probably just cry after an emotional build-up for 3 years.
About that. Oh, God, I'm hopeless. I was thinking about Paddington again. Something about him writing those fucking letters does it to me,
Those letters. And when I first was I was like, he doesn't know how to write, so it's never going to get to her. But apparently he does, and it does.
No, he does. He's highly intelligent.
I thought there was going to be a moment where he's like, I'll never be able to talk to her again, but at least I can write these letters as though I'm talking to her again.
Oh my God.
This is all I have, and no one understands what it's like to be me. And that people are trying to whip out my organs and stuff it with cotton.
What did you? I literally understood nothing.
I don't know how taxidermy works. I just assumed that there's stuff.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
How do we end this episode?
Yeah, I think we just tell everyone, go through your own mental health checklist, watch Paddington, and get yourself some Marmalade. Jaffa Cakes are the bomb.com if you want to add a little flavor to your Marmalade experience. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Wonka Watch. If you want to support this podcast, maybe we'll finally go to that Joanne Fabrics and get Felicia the perfect Paddington bear. You can go buymeacoffee.com/Wonka Watch. We appreciate that.
Yes.
And with our socials, thank you so much for tagging us in all the Wonka videos. Another TikTok people tagged us in was this weird Wonka themed bed and breakfast that had the wallpaper and then a silhouette photo of, there were 2 beds in the room, and there was a silhouette of an Oompa Loompa over one, just the face, neck up, Victorian style, and then a silhouette of Willy Wonka on the other one.
Oh my God.
It was
they
a
watch
weird
you
vibe.
when you sleep.
It was uncomfy. I was like, God. This shit's haunted. So thank you for always sending that stuff in.
We love it.
Do we have any other things we have to say?
Next episode, we're taking a break from Paddington. Next episode. So Paddington 2 is coming, but we're doing another episode before Paddington 2. Because we're kooky and crazy.
Oh, you'll never know what we're going to do next. You'll never know what we're going to do next.
I think just 2 weeks of Paddington in a row was a little too much. We need to spread that out for ourselves.
Good God, yeah.
We would just be a little blubbering mess if we watched it too soon. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And remember, while Wonka may not be important, Paddington is. And
Paddington is fucking important.
Paddington is fucking important. And I need you all to understand that. Wonka's not important, but Paddington is. But this podcast is not that important.
Not that important.
Bye, Aunt Lucy.
Don't you fucking start.